Here at Intoxicated Reviews, we intellectually dissect the art of cinema, scene by scene. Here's some clips.
All he is, it's just a fucking big wooden doll full of cum, chasing kids around.
You look up guys who poop in a bag. I think that's where you'll find him. Because he is hurt.
It's probably just in your search history anyway, isn't it?
This movie fucking blows.
So don't forget to subscribe to Intoxicated Reviews on all places you find podcasts. Except Spotify. We're working on it.
Boys Club. Is it called Boys Club because my apartment looks like a boy lives in it?
I wouldn't say a boy lives in it. I would say a boy is kidnapped somewhere in here.
Boys Club.
We're everything. We're true crime. We're World Star Hip Hop.
We're World Star Hip Hop. We're Netflix reviews.
Stories of the day.
Boys Club.
Listen.
Yeah, do it. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. I think. No, we're not. And on Google Play. Nobody gives a shit.
Boys Club.
Boys Club Podcast. Now with 90% more sound clips of black people.
Boys Club.
Touch me, and I'll sue.
Hey there, guys. It's Mark Adam from the Parenting Podcast. Join me and my co-host, KDG, every week for a brand new episode. We talk about parenthood and kids. We talk about it from every single angle. We talk about the lows, the highs, the laughs, and the cries. Join us. Subscribe wherever fine podcasts are found. And don't forget to join our community. You can start by visiting us on Facebook, facebook.com/parenting. It's like parenting with an A in the middle because we like to rant about stuff. Anyway, you get it. We'll see you there.
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Oh, hey, Internet, and welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and if you are brand new to Intoxicated, this is a drinking comedy podcast where I have friends and comedians on, and we talk about life over a couple drinks. It is indeed becoming comedy month here on Intoxicated. I am super stoked that I have a few stand-up comedians on this month. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode with Kirsten. I am getting so much feedback about it. So stoked that you guys loved that episode. I'm going to be sure to invite her back on because it was a lot of fun. And this week, also a lot of fun. Another really fun episode coming your way with comedian Scott Belford, who I actually met the same night that I met Kirsten. And he came over, we shot the shit, we drank Moosehead beer. It was fantastic. Scott is a very successful comedian. He has toured across the country and he is somewhat new to Halifax, only been here since the summer, so super pumped to have him on the show and learn about his life. We did talk a lot about comedy and sort of the journey he's made from working in radio to now. So lots of comedy talk in this, but it was absolutely fascinating and I freaking love it. As a fan and a supporter of comedy in general, I love talking about comedy. This was amazing. Some other things we talked about were, the idea of dating when you're a comic. It can be challenging. That was a good segment of the conversation as well. And one thing that I found super interesting about this episode is just talking about the hustle behind comedy. Because I don't know if a lot of people realize that comedians are entrepreneurs. Their business is themselves. So they have to constantly be selling themselves and keeping themselves on the ball to get stuff done and to build material, to get their name out there. And Scott definitely has a lot of insight into that, being someone who has done it for upwards of 10 years. So super cool. And, we also talked about, death and the end of the world and climate change and how we are all screwed. So just a very standard episode, nothing too heavy. It was a shit ton of fun. I really had a blast recording with Scott and hopefully he will be back on. Scott does have some shows coming up soon and I will be sure to leave the dates and the links to tickets in the description of this podcast so that you can grab tickets if you are in Halifax. I'll also link to his social media as well so you can give him a follow. And of course, make sure you do follow Intoxicated on social media as well. All the links are going to be in the description. You know the drill. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But most importantly, if you do like this episode or if you are a returning listener, do make sure you are subscribed wherever you find podcasts. And you can also spread the love by leaving us a rating or review on iTunes. And speaking of reviews, I do want to give a massive shout out to last week's guest, Kirsten, for leaving us a review on iTunes that I'm going to read right now because it makes me feel good about myself. So Kirsten did leave a 5-star rating. Thank you so much. And she said that it's an awesome chill listen. It's like a party with friends hosted by interview extraordinaire Sarah McClellan. Whew, tall order. Not sure I'm quite an extraordinaire, but holy shit, do I ever appreciate that review. Thank you so much, Kirsten. I know she also did recommend us on Facebook as well, which all these things help the show out. So I can't say thank you enough to anyone who shares the episodes or tells their friends about it. That's what it's all about, and I appreciate that so much. And I'd like to remind everyone about something very exciting happening in 1 month or so. So February 16th, which is a Saturday, we are doing a 15-hour live stream in celebration of episode 100. Holy shit, you guys. I'm still in the early stages of planning the stream, but I can tell you I've confirmed a couple people already, and it's going to be bigger, better, and even more bonkers than last time. I am so excited. I'm actually getting a new computer super soon. I'm going to get a really fast, good desktop computer that I'm going to use for streaming. I'm hoping that this means the stream is going to look better, sound better, all that fun stuff. I am just absolutely amped for this live stream, and I'm so happy that I'm getting on the planning early because it's episode 100, guys. I'm so fucking proud of this. So keep that on your radar, and what you can do until then is make sure that you are subscribed to us on YouTube or Twitch. So that's where the stream is going to go. It's going to be on YouTube and Twitch. So whichever one you prefer to watch streams on, make sure you're subscribed to us on there. I will leave the links below. One last thing to plug before we get to this episode. I do want to plug our Patreon. It is patreon.com/intoxicated. We just posted a $10 bonus episode. So for $10 and up Patreons, you can get bonus episodes specifically recorded by me and Corey that we try our best to do on a bi-weekly basis. And there are other reward levels on there as well. So whatever your budget, you can donate monthly, support the show, get some extras. It's a win-win. So certainly check that out if you are interested. And guys, that's about it. I'm super stoked for this episode. You guys are going to love it. So I hope you enjoy this week's episode with comedian Scott Belford.
I fucking loved radio.
Oh my God, the free concerts would be
and I was doing radio in Grand Prairie, Alberta, which at the time, although it was a smaller town, had a shit ton of money, which meant that the acts and the artists that city was getting for a place of 50,000 people was insane.
Yeah?
Like the Black Eyed Peas, Snoop Dogg. And I mean, I was a huge rock fan, still am. I mean, I've diversified my music a little bit because you just get tired of nothing but guitar music. But like, you know, when I was in my 20s, it was classic rock or nothing. And like, I loved stuff like the Trues and Matt Mays and all this East Coast stuff, right? Joel Plaskett. And they would come. And because there was such a huge East Coast flavor in Alberta, because so many Maritimers go out there for work or did back in the early 2000s and even up until more recently. We got so many great East Coast rock bands that would come out, and like I got to party with a bunch of them.
Yeah,
East Coasters love to party.
Matt
right?
Mays is one of my favorites.
My dream is one day seeing Matt Mays on the street and be like, "Hey, remember that one radio interview I did with you, and like how we could really be buddies? You know, I do comedy, you do music."
I've often like thought long term, like Intoxicated long term, like I'm gonna focus on comedy, but fuck, I would love to get like a Matt Mays on the show. Like just have
wouldn't
a beer,
that be the best?
Have beer and like just talk about music, because like music's another love of mine, and I've thought about launching another podcast, which would make me a crazy person because it's just a lot of work. But I've thought about launching like kind of like an Intoxicated music based one.
Yeah,
but I'm just like, Sarah, you're gonna be just drinking constantly.
Yeah,
you're going to die. Like there's no way you can do this.
You know, it really does suck that the best things in life slowly kill you. Or even,
so
maybe that's
true.
the wrong way of putting it, quickly kill you. You know, like if they didn't just, because
I know.
I try really hard to go a week or two sometimes, you know, just get
Without
a
beer,
couple
like
weeks under your belt, especially when you're on the road a lot and you wind up in your 30s, which you shouldn't be drinking for like 6 days straight. It's not good for you. And you
it's
know
really, really not.
It's terrible for you. And you feel it. You know, when you wake up in the morning and your body's like, you wake up to your body screaming no. Why?
Why did you do that? That's the thing. Like, I always tell people, and we're recording right now, by the way, just so you know.
We're in.
I always tell people, I'm like, you can still drink as hard as you did in your 20s and your 30s, but you're going to feel it 10 times
You
worse.
have to do it a little less because it hurts too much.
Oh my God, does it ever hurt?
And this is the worst part for me is that because people may disagree, maybe I just have too much time on my hand, but life's pretty boring. So like, you know, life, it really is pretty boring. But if you know, conversation when you're drinking or like you go out and you're with friends and stuff. And you know what? It does suck that my first thought when I'm with a group of friends mid-afternoon is I'm like, let's have a beer. You know, maybe there's something to be said for the person who can just enjoy everything in their full sobriety, but also like weird.
I 100% agree, because if you think about it, when's the last time you asked a friend to like go skating or go for a walk?
Yeah.
Like, that's just like not really a thing that happens. It's usually let's go get a drink or let's go.
Should we walk and smoke this joint?
We're always getting fucked up. No, that's why I start the show, because I found the conversations that I would have while drinking were always pretty hilarious, deep, intense. Like all the good conversations have been while drinking.
And I don't know if it's in our heads, because I feel like sometimes it is. And this only comes from listening back to sets where I was drunk.
Oh, interesting.
And then having a blast while I was on stage, right? And then listening back to it and being like, oh, that wasn't a hilarious, great set. I was just drunk. So like, who knows how many conversations we're having, Sarah? We're like, literally, that's the only reason they're good.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, this podcast, what am I doing? But there are many times that I'll walk away from an episode and be like, holy shit, I don't remember. Like, that probably wasn't. And then I'll listen back sober and I'm like, oh no, this is good.
Shout out to your last podcast, though. Like, you and Kirsten Finch was great. And I love that I now know that it's Kirsten.
Yeah.
You know, because I was just out there Kirstening it up, you know? Oh, Kirsten. And it took your podcast to realize.
I was nervous about that, and it's a fear of mine. To like
a
just
fellow comedian that I had been encountered with dozens of times, I was calling her by the wrong name. And this is the hilarious thing with names like that, right? Is that she was just like, I don't have to tell every person.
Right? I can imagine. I'm lucky I got that easy name where it's like, yeah, Sarah. It's Sarah.
It was a good podcast, though. You girls got it. It made me feel a little ignorant, because I was just like, I found myself, I'm like, are these like woman knowledge deep cuts? Because like, I feel like there's B-sides on here. I'm Googling what a diva cup is. I'm like, what the fuck?
I will be inviting her back. I felt like her and I were just like instant friends, and it was pretty epic. I felt kind of like maybe we should talk about something non-girly, but I had so much fun talking about the girly stuff. It felt really good, so I don't regret it.
You don't get a chance.
I just recorded with a bunch of boys, like for like a bunch of weeks in a row. So like recording with her
I'm the same way when I wind up around a bunch of my baseball nerd friends, and then all of a sudden my girlfriend's like ready to kill herself as I'm like deep diving into like
baseball,
baseball stats and like
it's like inside base. Is that a phrase? Inside baseball? Do people say that when it's like inside baseball? Like you're talking about something specific?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've been saying that, and I don't know if that's a phrase or not. We're bearing the lead here, though. Guys, welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast. I'm very, 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 very excited to have Scott Belford on. Hello, Scott. Did I say your name right?
I like you nailed it. And
Scott Belford.
Your enthusiasm right now is
and
just.
I'm hand dancing.
She is hand dancing.
You can't see. I am very
vigorously with her right and less so with her left that had her drink in it. Yes.
I'm shocked that I haven't ruined equipment yet with all the drinks that have been around this podcast.
So
it's gonna happen.
This is episode 96.
This will be. Well, wait. What was the last one I posted?
This is why I asked.
So I think the last one was 94. So I think you're going to be 95.
We're 95. So
yeah, your episode's going to come out this week.
You've done this 95 times.
Yes.
What is the majority of your guests' drinks? Is beer number one?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Beer is very common.
Yes.
I would say
it's a good
whiskey,
drink. Whiskey
is actually shockingly common.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to call my shot, but the next 2 episodes might be whiskey episodes because Catherine Robinson, I think, is a whiskey drinker.
Oh, yeah. She loves her bourbon.
So she's probably going to choose whiskey. And I think Dan's going to bring whiskey too. So like a lot of whiskey, a lot of beer. Oh my God, like we've really had it all. I drink a lot of vodka.
Yeah.
Like there's some episodes where it's like returning guests where we just drink whatever we want to drink.
Yeah.
And I'll just usually drink a vodka soda water. So that's like, that is the Sarah drink. And that is the most white girl, basic bitch, clear alcohol drink that you could ever get.
Right.
But it makes me feel
But you know what? You take that vodka, you put a little hot sauce, you put a little Worcestershire, you throw some clam drippings and tomato juice in there, and you got yourself a fucking drink.
Caesar? Are you a Caesar guy?
I love Caesars so much.
Me
They're
too.
probably my favorite drink. If I'm just going to have a drink at noon.
Just one.
Just one.
But you want a banger.
It's going to be a spicy Caesar every time.
Ding dang.
Thank you.
We're
doing it. We got one.
It's a good brunch drink, too.
Mm-hmm. Which is a funny thing to say.
Yeah, it is, right?
It's a good morning drink.
Well, I find when I'm hungover, I like a Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. I remember the first time I tried a Caesar, I was very nervous about it because I have a sensitive stomach, and spicy food has been something that I've been easing myself into very slowly.
Yes.
But I'm starting to like it more because I'm eating a lot of Indian food. I fucking love Indian food. And I up it a bit more each time. But with a Caesar, the first time I tried it, I was so nervous. And I tried it and I went, whew! That just kicked me in the ass. Like it just kind of invigorated me in a weird way. It kicked me like it just like woke me up. I was like, I like this. and then I haven't stopped since. I love Caesars. And that Caesar salt on the rim.
Oh,
I'll
the
just
rimmer.
Go, Talking about rims already.
This is one of my good friends, Paul Meyerhog. He's a Canadian comic. He's actually living in the UK right now. But he was over in June, and he was playing Chuckles in St. John, New Brunswick, and I was opening for him. And we went out after the show, and it was a great time, and we're having Caesars. And he's recently become a vegan. And so we're drinking this Caesar, and I'm like, wait, how are you able to drink this Caesar as a vegan? And he's like, what are you talking about? And then it kind of hit me. I'm like, oh, no. I'm gonna ruin Caesars tomorrow.
Yes,
I'm like, buddy, there's clam in this. Like, it's why they call it clamato juice. He's like, oh no!
Like, did he spit it out? Like,
oh no, he didn't finish it. He didn't stop ordering Caesars, but like,
gosh,
I felt bad. He's like, you ruined this.
That's gonna suck. I mean, kudos to anyone who tries the vegan thing. I could never do it. That's just madness to me.
I couldn't do it, but it's only because I'm lazy. It's really not because I'm that into meat. Like meat's good, but like that Beyond Meat burger from A&W.
I've heard good things about it.
It's fantastic. You can't even tell the difference.
Really?
And honestly, if they just had like burgers like that, I would just start eating those. Like it wouldn't matter.
Right.
I just want convenience, especially as a comedian that's on the road all the time. You just, you know, like the amount of times you're driving through fucking Davidson, Saskatchewan, and you're just like, I just want food.
Do you eat a lot of fast food on the road?
I eat way too much fast food on the road. I've been working harder at it, at like going to grocery stores when I'm like at and buying my breakfast and stuff in advance.
Like when you can try to buy, but that's tough.
It's super tough, especially if you're going town to town regularly.
Yeah.
You know, like it's nice if you like get put up for a weekend in one place, but there's lots of times where I'm like Wednesday in a town and then next town Thursday, next town Friday, next town Saturday.
Right.
And, so.
Fuck, that's intense. But yeah, you said it. You are a comedian. You are a stand-up comedian, and you've been doing it for how long?
I've been doing comedy for 10 years.
10 years.
But I've been making a living at it for just under 2.
Right. Bitchin'.
Yeah.
Good job. You are alive.
You're more enthusiastic than my dad, because my dad was like, you could have been a doctor in that time. I was like, you don't know how smart I am. I most certainly could not have been.
Oh, man. We share that. My parents are also disappointed in me. I have one sister who's a vet, the other sister who just got into the Boston Marathon.
Oh, buddy.
And then there's me.
Successful siblings are the worst. Let's be serious,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
the better your siblings do, it's just like, come on, guys.
Stop
Can
making me
we
look
not
bad.
keep a baseline here of fucking reachability?
Do you have siblings?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
So where are you in the line?
I am the oldest.
You are the oldest. And are your siblings much younger than you, or like is there a big age gap?
Both my brothers are 18 months apart. So the middle brother is 18 months younger than I. 3 years is the other brother younger than I am, and then my little sister's 8 years younger than I am.
Crazy. So kind of a big mishmash.
And here's a little Belford tidbit for you. My little sister, also a comedian, 6 years in Toronto.
Oh shit!
Recently signed to Comedy Records, which is like one of the biggest comedy agencies in Canada. So like,
holy crap!
little
That's
sis
awesome.
kicking butt.
What's the name?
Claire
Belford.
Claire Belford. Check her out,
Take
guys.
a look at it.
Yeah,
Maybe-
totally.
Hopefully she'll get to Halifax sometime.
She will. She's toured out here probably 4 years ago. It was one of the first tours she ever did. She came out east and did Cape Breton and Halifax, and a bunch of the local guys here like Travis and Dan and stuff, they know her. So
Oh my god! So does this being funny, does that run in the family a bit?
yes, it does, but not what it's funny because my parents, and if they heard this, they would be so upset to hear this. Both of them, the least funny people. They are not funny.
Sarah, make this the sound clip.
Yeah,
Post it all over the internet.
And I love them to death. They love to take claim for both my sisters and my humor, and it is not the case.
Wow. So you and and then the other siblings, like
The other 2 are also very funny, but have no desire for validation from complete strangers. They're just like confident guys who don't need
they don't need to hear a
whatever
laugh.
ridiculous thing I'm chasing. I don't even know what I need anymore. The worst part is like there's so many times where I do a set and it goes so well and I'm still like, it could have been better. I'm like, well, what am I even after? Like, what am I even trying to get here?
Wow, interesting. Well, I mean, I think if you do it full time, that's how you're working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That like you have no other distractions, so you're focusing extra hard on those little sets. Interesting. So what was the moment? Oh, we skipped the friendship origin. How we met. We skipped that. So I met you the same night that I met Kirsten.
Yes.
At Gus's Pub.
That's right.
And I was just like, come on the podcast. And then you messaged me and I was like, fuck yes. I love it when comedians reach out.
Your
because-
exact words to me were like, message me. Say you're going to message me, and the message me. I was like, okay, well.
Yeah, I like to throw it out and be like, I have this thing. You're welcome to come on. Like, check it out, see if it's for you, and like you let me know rather than me bugging you to be like, come on my podcast, come on my podcast, come on my podcast. But this it's awesome. I love getting comics on. It's fucking fantastic. But back to it. When was the moment? Like, when did you get into it? So like, when was your first show? Like, how did that all work?
That's
because people
I guess
say
it depends
I've been
how far you want to go to go back.
Yeah.
I really wasn't one of those comics that was like, oh, I wanted to be a comic all my life.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But I was.
Deep down.
So
maybe?
like, so Evening at the Improv, and you might be a little too young for this, but A&E used to run a show every Sunday at 10 o'clock at night, and it was called Evening at the Improv, and it was an hour-long comedy special, and it was the old school brick wall, and they had like 6 comics go up and do their 7 to 8 minutes or whatever.
Nice.
And this is when I was about 10, and I loved it, and I used to get to watch it on long weekends, but my bedtime up until I was about 10 was like 9, right?
That's pretty late.
Maybe it might have even been 8. I don't know. Like I don't know. I just remember it was too late for me to watch it, right? And then when I turned 11, my parents made a deal that I could stay up as late as I want. And basically what that meant is that I was allowed to stay up and watch Evening at the Improv, and then I go to the fuck to bed, right? So, like, at 11, like, one of the things that I looked forward to is that Sunday night where I got to watch an hour of stand-up comedy. But I was from Northern Alberta, so, like, basically me imagining that I could be a stand-up comedy was like me thinking that I could be an astronaut. Like, it's one of those things that when you grow up and your parents tell you can do anything you want, you're like, oh, yeah, sure I can, right? Like, so, like, literally by the time I was 15, like, this was something that just, the thought of, I remember my mom showed me a thing that I wrote in grade 5, so I would have been 10 or 11, and it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I put stand-up comedian. I put stand-up comedian there.
Oh, that's adorable.
But by the time I was 16, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I was 10, there's no way I could have told you. This was just something that, these memories came back to me in time as I got further into comedy.
Right.
So I really didn't pursue it. And I got into radio. I wound up being an MC for a comedy show at the casino in Grand Prairie, Alberta. After doing that for about 3 months, I finally got off the balls to write a couple jokes. I did some jokes, and I really started to enjoy it, even though I was terrible. And then we touched on this briefly before we started recording here, but, like, you know, there was a girl that I'd fallen all in love with at the radio station, and then things didn't work out, and then it was super awkward, and then I wound up losing this gig at the casino because the radio station, they switched advertising. The casino switched advertising, so it was another radio station that got to MC it, and then I asked if I could still go and do it under a different name. They wouldn't allow me, all sorts of weird stuff. Damn. And literally I kind of went sideways and like quit the job and moved to Edmonton to pursue stand-up comedy.
It's crazy how breakups can just derail your life and send you in like a completely other direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like that's crazy.
But it wasn't. It was a combination of things. I'm not saying it was just.
It was kind of a catalyst in a way.
It was absolutely. It was like, and I had worked in radio for so long and been pursuing a morning show position in bigger cities and just been in. I had 3 interviews in about a 3-month span and didn't get any of them.
Right.
And I just really, Grand Prairie was my hometown too, so it was another thing. I just wanted the fuck out.
Yeah,
right?
that's totally.
So that's kind of how I quit my job, and I just didn't know what else to do, and I was like, well, I could just go get a warehouse job and pursue stand up, I guess. Like, I was still 26, so I felt like I was young enough that I could still be a bum, you know?
Right. It's a good age to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was basically telling everyone. I'm like, I'm quitting my job to pursue something that is unattainable, pretty much. Like,
what was the reaction around you when you would tell
my
people
parents have always been ridiculously supportive.
Oh, that's
like
good.
To an annoying level. Like, it's great. Absolutely. I've never felt any pressure from them to pursue anything other than what I'm after. But I mean, a lot of my friends and bosses and stuff like that in radio, which was something that I loved very much and had pursued for years and years and years. And the money in radio was shit.
Yeah. I have a friend, shout out to my friend Caitlin, who's doing it right now. She's doing it in Fort Francis, Ontario?
Of course.
Yep.
Because that's where you got to go. You got to go to these
is.
small towns and cut your teeth and do your thing.
Yeah.
And so I'd finally actually gotten to a point where, you know, I was making, you know, nothing amazing, but 40 to 45,000 a year. You know, I was making a living income at radio. I'd spent 7 years to get to that point. So, like, a lot of my buddies who watched me work my way up and watched me work my ass off to get to this point were kind of beside themselves that I just threw it all away to pursue something else.
But you want to know what? And I wonder if you agree on this. Radio, the skills you get in radio,
100%
transferable over to comedy.
It's so transferable.
You have a very good radio voice, by the way.
Thank you. And people tell me this all the time.
You do.
It's almost like I did radio for years.
It's almost like that was what you did. But they're transferable skills, and it's like, I wish people wouldn't look at it that way, because you went on that journey, and you got skills from it, and you're now using those skills. So it wasn't a waste.
It wasn't a waste at all. And I mean, I'll be very honest. I feel like a lot of this stuff was in my own head too.
Right.
Like, I honestly, Sarah, I used to think that I couldn't play Grand Prairie, Alberta. Like, I used to go there and bomb, and I really thought that the people there remembered me from radio, and they were hoping that I'd fail. Like, crazy stuff, right? Just
it would make sense that you would get in your head about that. No, that's a human thing.
Yeah, it's just a confidence thing, right? And like, once I kind of hit a point in my career where like, I'm pretty confident that you can listen. I really believe like I'm in the top 200 comics in this country doing this, like
dang.
For traveling everywhere and being able to, and I don't mean that I'm one of the top guys that you can put in downtown Toronto, and I don't mean that I'm one of the top guys that you can put in Cardiff, Saskatchewan.
Right.
But everything in between, I'm going to be a consistent guy who's got good time that can, like, big city, small town, I'm going to do fairly comparable, right?
Right. Got
It's
you.
taken a lot of work and a lot of time to get to that point.
Crazy.
So I don't know what we were just talking about. I don't know.
Well, comedy.
Sometimes I feel like...
Actually, you're holding your beer now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to mention what we're drinking.
Yes. Good old Moosehead.
So I asked
An old East Coast lager.
I asked you what you wanted to drink, and this is what you chose, and I want to know why.
Well, in all honesty, it's because I listened to your last podcast and heard how poor you were, and I was like, well, what's the beer? What's the beer I like the most that costs the least money?
You're so sweet. Oh my God.
Because I'm a huge beer fan. Like, I love craft beer, but they're so fucking expensive. It's ridiculous.
That's, oh my God. I guess I am so poor. My credit cards are in the freezer right now. Yeah, they're literally frozen in ice. So I feel that. Interesting. So have you always been a beer guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that like your?
Yeah.
That's like your.
I mean, when I
go-to?
was younger, I drank. I was a big whiskey guy, but I'm built like a little skinny rail. But when I'd get some whiskey in me, I'd act like I had fighting skills.
Interesting. So make it like Hulk, like
well, yeah,
angry, a little angry.
No, it made me get my ass kicked a bunch, and to the point where I was like, okay, you only got to eat soup for 2 weeks in college when you're like, okay, I gotta stop mouthing off every guy.
You get a little too brave on the whiskey.
Honestly, one of the things I did when I was 21 is I used to talk myself into fights and then see if I could talk myself out of them. And dangerous game to play because sometimes you can't.
I kind of like really love doing that though. I won't lie. I love being a shit disturber.
Yeah.
And one thing I love most about being a shit disturber when you're drunk is looking at your friends around you try to stop it.
Oh my God, Sarah. You and I would be a bad pair to send out on the town.
Oh my gosh. I can't remember what it was.
Shit disturbing is literally my favorite thing to do in the entire world. Oh my God. There is nothing I love more than getting under the skin of people I love and know.
That's the key. What you said at the end there is the key. People
Yes.
you love and know.
Yes.
Strangers, that's douchey. But people you know
But sometimes
and love,
that's fun too at a certain level.
at
But
a certain level.
when
Yeah.
you're drunk enough that you stop caring.
100%. I was listening to a podcast tonight with Sarah Silverman, and they were talking about roasting. And they were saying how a good roast should be between people who know each other.
Yes, of course.
Not just like strangers that are just like, browsing through your Facebook.
You have
find
to
things.
be... The only way roasts work is if they're all friends.
Yeah.
Unless everyone's incredibly famous.
Yeah.
It's why
exactly.
the Comedy Central roasts work beautifully. Because this is one thing I always found funny about roasts is they're about knocking people down who have reached the top.
Yeah.
So like a lot of these amateur roasts that you see going on in scene to scene to scene throughout Canada and throughout the world, because roasts have become so big, it's not as fun, I find, when it's just a bunch of comics that are like...
That kind of know each other
They're
a
like,
little bit.
you suck! And
Yeah.
everyone's like, yeah, we all kind of suck.
And they attack the most obvious things.
Yeah.
Like the things that like anyone would just look at someone and
Exactly.
attack.
But when you're roasting David Hasselhoff or these are people who read, Jeff Ross, like these are guys that are like at the top.
Yeah. And if you're roasting like a friend,
Yeah.
like a fellow comedian friend that you know really well, like
Then it's good fun.
You got dirt on them
Yeah.
that people don't know. So you can drudge that shit. Oh my God, that must be so fun.
It's fun. It is fun.
Have you ever done any roast battles?
I've done lots of roast battles.
Yeah.
When I had first started in comedy, I actually did quite a few and I was quite good at it.
Yeah.
I try to avoid them now because
Yeah.
I find that now that I'm older, I'm more self-conscious, which I didn't think was something that was supposed to fucking happen. It's like now I'm more self-aware, you know?
Yeah,
like in my
yeah.
20s, I still had that like veil of like, people aren't looking at me. And now I'm like, oh no, like everybody's looking at me.
Yeah, no, that's totally. And it's funny because Sarah Silverman mentioned it. She's like, I didn't think I would get offended by anything that they said, but because and I don't remember which roast specifically it was that she was on, but they were making a lot of old jokes to her. Like, you're old, you're so old. And at the time she was like late 30s, 40, like around there. And she's like, it hit me harder than I thought. Those old jokes, because she wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
She was expecting like, you're a whore, you're slutty.
Yeah.
Like, but then it was like, you're old.
Yeah.
And it like just hit her like a ton of bricks.
And she's like, what about my sluttiness, guys?
Because I often think, I'm like, I just love being made fun of.
Yeah.
I think it's a form of endearment in a weird way. Being picked
You
on
have
a bit.
siblings.
I do, yeah.
See, I think that is a mentality. What?
I am the youngest.
You're the youngest.
And
okay.
my sisters are well, I wouldn't say much older, but like there's a big age gap. Like,
then I'm going to say right now that's why you had that mentality. I have the same mentality. I really believe that. I really think that the oldest and the youngest have the most in common for two very different reasons. And it's just that like, you know, because the oldest has to go through so much with the parents, and the parents are always, for the most part, so fucking, it's their first time having a kid, so like they're overprotective, they're worried about everything, and
they're kind of guessing,
you know? And by like the second kid or the third, by the time the third kid comes, they're just like fucking, by the time you're 3, they're like, live your life, just the older ones will look after the younger ones, you know?
That's
like,
so true. I mean, like, I feel like it's a thing amongst middle children to be like, the middle children don't get it good or whatever. Like,
and they don't.
That's true.
Like, the youngest and the oldest probably do have the best. And I don't know if there's any way to prove this psychology-wise, but I really do think that the oldest and the youngest have the best, I don't want to say parenting, but like maybe the most attention from their parents paid to them.
I could say that.
And so the middle kid gets kind of forgotten, and that's obviously the middle kid rep.
Middle kid,
you know, it's like, oh, they're the black sheep. They don't,
Yeah.
and it's because of that. It's totally because of that. You know, like they're overshadowed by the oldest, and then the youngest gets all this attention. They're like, what the fuck?
Fuck. I know, and well, I kind of felt like I got the baby mentality. You're the baby. You're the young. And I feel like I still get that.
Yeah.
So that's part of being the youngest that I'm not a fan of. I'm just like, no, bitches. I have a drunk podcast and I'm in my 30s and I'm paying bills and I don't have savings, but I'm paying bills.
Yeah.
I'm getting by and I'm not like a drug addict or, you know, like I'm doing pretty good. So fuck off.
Are you a worrier?
Yes.
You do, eh?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the worry. I worry about really large things like dying.
Okay. Me too.
I think about death to an extreme degree, like to a point where I'm like, if I had a therapist, she would have a field day with me. Because there's I'm very I'm either totally aloof.
So what are you worried about?
I'm just getting hit by a car.
Okay.
Or like having a plane
Small
crash on
scale
me.
stuff. I like that.
Or like Donnie Darko style, a plane crashes in my room or something. I don't
How
know.
the environment has been going has literally been taking over my life recently.
Oh, really?
It's ruining me, Sarah. I
The
can't
climate?
even, like, I've been reading so many articles about how we're so fucked with climate change.
Oh, yeah.
And it, honestly, I can truly say there has never been quite the amount of hopelessness that I feel. Like, I just, like, honestly, this Kevin Hart stuff came out, and I was just like, who fucking cares if he's right or wrong? We're all going to be wearing gas masks in 30 years and the planet's dying and burning to the ground. The oceans are rising. We're all fucked, you know?
It's so true, though. Like, why? But it's this day and age of, I was kind of wanting to ask you about that. This whole idea of like uncovering things from comics pasts and drudging it up and being like, we're going to ruin their lives now. And like, what are your thoughts on all that? Like, it's
Again,
madness.
I cannot stress enough that my thoughts are who fucking cares?
Who fucking cares? Yeah,
We're all
seriously.
gonna die in a tsunami. How does nobody worry about this? You know?
Oh man, I think we're pretty safe here in Nova Scotia. Although it does freak me out that we're surrounded by ocean.
I just worry about like what happens when the water crisis hits.
Yeah.
And we all realize in Canada that maybe we should have had guns.
Do you think we'll be around for that though? Like the end of the world?
Yeah.
Do you want to be?
No. Good God, no.
Okay, see, here's the weird thing about me though. I kind of want to be.
You want to be? You want a fucking exclamation mark on the end? You're like, and we're good.
I want to be around for the end of the world, like the movie version of the end of the world, not this slow burnout, but like the 2012, like
where humanity unites and creates little things of like colonization and everyone works together. That's a real beautiful thought, right? Just like I just picture it like. Have you ever seen The Road with Viggo Mortensen?
Why is it? That sounds familiar to me.
It is an apocalyptic movie, basically with the dude from Lord of the Rings, right? And they just walk on a road with no hope. Nothing good happens in the entire movie as all of them slowly die.
It's kind of like the Walking Dead series.
It's like the Walking Dead, but without all the like,
terrible monologues,
love interests and stuff like that. It's just like we're all dying and we're walking.
That sounds depressing.
It does sound depressing, but this is how I envision the end of the world. I'm like, we're just gonna all be fucked. There's gonna be no water. We're all gonna have like.
I hope it's not like that.
Oh well, me too.
I hope it's a big star crashing into us.
I hope we don't have an end of the world. It would be the best.
Well, I don't think you're gonna die before the end of the world. So
I hope so.
There's something about the idea of going out all together though that comforts me a bit. I think that's
why... very selfish. That's the most selfish fucking view, Sarah. You're like, I like the idea of it all ending when I end.
I just want to be with people.
It's like the weirdest FOMO ever.
That's 100% what it is.
You don't want to miss out on
I don't want to miss out on anything. And if I go, I want other people to go with me so that they're not having fun while I'm dead.
You know what, Sarah? Fuck you.
Cheers. Oh, man. Fuck. It's just, I don't know. I think about death too much. Maybe it's just like, I grew up Catholic. So, like,
I think it's the times. And I don't mean to take away anything from the religious upbringing. Because, of course, that's the one thing religion does is they all have an end date. They're all like, things are going to end.
Things are going to end.
Whether it's Catholicism, Christianity, fucking Buddhism, like literally every religion, they're like, and then it ends,
right?
Which is almost shitty for humanity. That like I really believe this is one of the biggest problems with environmentalism right now is that all these people, when they're like, your life is going to have to take a little bit of a bump. We're not going to be able to keep using water the way we're using. We're not going to be able to keep burning gas the way we're burning. We're not going to be able to keep using energy the way we're using. And everyone's like, yeah, but really, should we? Because, like, we are going to all have an apocalyptic ending. The locusts are coming. God's going to come down from the heavens. There's, like, I'm just like, maybe if we just didn't have this, like, feeling of an afterlife, everyone would chip in a little harder.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it.
I don't know. I don't know why you're just like, you're a real bummer, Scott. When you said you were coming on.
I consider me to be a bummer.
Yeah.
Because I'm just living in fear.
Yeah.
So like, I consider my outlook to be more bleak.
Oh, buddy, I was reading about solar storms the other day. Do you even know this is a thing that exists?
Like planets colliding?
No. There's weather in space. So, like, not only could we possibly be fucked by a tsunami on Earth, but there's, like, storms that we have nothing we could do about in
We're probably
space.
clashing around up there.
Oh, man.
Like, and the other thing, too, is the fucking moon and the sun. That freaks me out.
Oh.
Just...
Don't get me going on the sun.
In general, because I remember when I was younger, I was really into space. I did a project on the planet Venus. And like I remember like learning a bunch of weird.
Did you
facts
do a
about
diorama?
I don't even remember.
Tell me you
I
had
think it was
styrofoam balls on.
I think it was literally just a blister board, like
Nice.
know, like just standard.
The Bristol
school
board,
project.
the grade 5 project staple.
Yes, the
You go,
stencils.
you get a
with
big
markers.
Bristol board, you start gluing shit on there. Yeah.
Fucking love it. But like I remember, what was it? Learning that the sun is like the stars you see in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is a star, so that star could explode.
Yeah.
And that really freaks me out.
And the fact the stars burn out. Did you ever watch Neil deGrasse Tyson's oh my God. The big documentary series he did about
I've only watched him on Katy Perry's
You know what
live
I'm
stream.
talking about though, right?
I think so, yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck. I should look it up.
Yeah, please
You want me to look
Google
it
it because I'm literally going to go. I can't
I'm
believe
gonna
I
say
can't.
like if I get on something, I need.
I want to say
know.
it starts with a C.
C. Neil.
It should be like the first thing that comes up.
Cosmos.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I did have it. I knew it started with a C.
Cosmos. I've never seen it.
It's amazing. It gave me
Yeah.
so much hope. Not even for the human race. In fact, I watched it and I was like, okay, humans are fucked. We're dead. We're dead for sure. But like, I don't know why I feel this like immense guilt for how badly we're fucking the planet, but I do. I think about it all the time. It's probably not healthy. Like, I don't know. My girlfriend all the time is like, Scott, like, there's so many other things to worry about. Why are you worrying about the sea levels rising and the fucking temperature? Like, this is all stuff you can't really.
I have a couple questions about this with you.
Okay.
So you worry a lot about it. Are you someone who takes, like, what's your lifestyle like in terms of your
Huge
carbon-
hypocrite. I drive a vehicle. I use gas. I turn my electricity
Do you use
on.
straws? Do you use straws still?
I don't use straws,
Okay.
but I didn't use straws before I knew that they killed
Okay.
turtles. So
Okay.
like, it's not like I was.
You're not
trying
missing
I'm
out.
not trying to save the turtles. I just
Right.
never use straws. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know why I worry about it so much. It's kind of stupid, but like this Cosmos, their whole thing was pretty much, we're not destroying the planet. We're destroying us.
Yeah.
And the planet's going to be fine in like 3 million years after we're all extinct.
Right.
And then it'll just start all over. You know, small amoebas will grow in warm water and
Right.
bacteria will form. And, you know, all of a sudden single-celled organisms are becoming dual. And, you know, it just starts all over again. And I was just like, oh my God, like that's amazing. So we're not completely destroying everything. We're just ruining ourselves. And I don't know why that's more. Like,
well, because we could control it, maybe, and we're not.
I gotta stop reading less. That's really. I'm just
do
like.
you go down dark corners of the internet like I do?
Oh my God! I'll start watching videos about extinct animals, and the next thing I know, I'm like, so wait, we've killed like 1,000 species in 100 years. You know, like it's
that is insane.
It's crazy.
That is insane. All the animals that are going extinct, like
the bugs
that's
that have gone
madness.
extinct. Do you know how hard it is to kill bugs?
Yeah,
like
seriously,
that's.
though. Yeah.
This has really become let's get on a happier note here. Like we've really, anyone listening to this is like, what the fuck?
I think it's funny because we're both worriers, but my worries are very selfish and small scale, and they're just about my mortality, whereas you are like, holy fuck, the world's gonna explode. It's really funny. But on a happier note, you are in a relationship.
I am.
Which, like,
with a wonderful lady who tries to keep my brain out of such thoughts. You know, it's good.
For 7 years, which is the same amount of time that I've been single.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. 7 years.
7 years. Long time.
It's a long time.
Long time.
It's a long time.
How did you guys meet? Do you remember the meet cute?
I do.
Like and I'm talking the exact situation, so not just a general. Like.
You know what? I hope she almost isn't listening to this. I don't remember the exact moment. She was just kind of there.
Okay.
So she was a waitress at the comic strip in the West Edmonton Mall, and I was an aspiring comic in Edmonton at the time, and So I was at the club quite a bit trying to get in and stuff like that. I mean, this was in my first year or so of comedy too, 2 years. So I wasn't getting club time yet, or when I was, it was sparse and guest spots and stuff like that.
You're doing what you can.
I was doing what I can, but I was one of the funnier up and coming comics in Edmonton at the time. Nice. Shallow talent pool, but you know, I was definitely on the radar, and so I was getting a lot of stage time at amateur nights and pro-am and stuff like that. And so she was also the sister of one of my best buds doing comedy at the time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
it's a good in.
Yeah, actually, and shout out to Jordan Chizowski. He's my brother-in-law basically now, and I mean, he's done Just for Laughs in the Halifax Comedy Festival here.
Damn.
He's quit comedy for now. I truly believe he will come back to it, but like it's been really cool coming up with him, and then also like meeting Taylor and like falling in love, and like you know,
what's that like?
Right? You know, it's great.
What's love
you know,
like?
What's love like?
What's happiness like, and comfort and commitment and dating? I don't know anything of this world.
See,
so
you
tell
make
me.
it sound so hard. I always thought the same thing, and it's so funny because like the first 3 years was a lot of that, and it's just like it's kind of falling into each other's rhythm and grooves and stuff like that. You just kind of get to the point where it's a very symbiotic thing, and you do got to be careful of that too, because I do feel like there is like a monotony and a boredom that sometimes can come with that, and like which also leads to like temptation and shit like that, and like
sure does.
But you know, at the same time, we've done a great job of like. It's really fucked to say, but I 100% trust her in every scenario. There is no, and she does the same for me, and it's not a disgenuine thing. It's not just words. It's actually how we feel about it, and it's really the only reason I feel like I can go out and do 3 weeks on the road.
Because you trust yourself and you trust each other.
I trust myself and I trust her.
Because the trusting yourself thing, like I think it's easy to trust another person, but trusting yourself is another whole other beast. I find
it is.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
There's been like there's been temptations. There's been times where like, you know, where you know, you go back to your hotel room and you're like, okay, you just fucking don't.
So, honest question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but honest question, did you get hit on a lot after shows as a comic?
Wow.
Or like approached, or like did you have options? No.
I wouldn't say a lot.
No. Okay.
I mean,
I'm just wondering.
I'm not. It's a good question. Here's the thing. I'm not. I make a good fifth impression. You know.
I like that.
Fifth
impression.
If you're gonna stick around long enough for me to start to wear off on you, I'm charming and funny and fun to be around.
Right.
But like it's not like my looks are wowing anyone out of the gate. I'm not knocking anyone's socks off. My act is very goofy and dick joke orientated, so it's not like I'm like I have a sexy act or like an act that like or like an act that's like really super intelligent or anything.
Right.
Like, so I'm not really putting anything out there that's getting. Have I been hit on after shows? Absolutely, of course, 100%.
I think.
Have I had straight up offers to come to my hotel room? Twice. Like
okay.
Like it has happened,
but not.
But we're talking in 10 years, right?
Okay.
So like we're not talking like this is something that this is something that I deal with twice a year, where I'm like, what? Like, and normally it blindsides me so much. I couldn't do it anyway. And my girl always laughs too, because the amount of times that she's like, you know, she was hitting on you, and I'm like, no, she wasn't, because I'm just oblivious.
I feel like equally males and females get confused. Like they just don't know when they're being hit on.
Yeah.
That's why I like, see, my thing is, I've mentioned it before in the show, but I sometimes will get into a mentality of, I'm just going to be straight up honest. Be like, hey, what, come fuck me?
Yeah.
And like, I'm being serious, but a guy's like, oh, Sarah.
Yeah.
Because they think I'm being like funny. And I'm like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah. Seriously, do me.
Get your ass over here right fucking now. So you met the girl at the club.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first date was? Or like,
Yeah.
did you have a date, or was it more friends that like molded into...
basically what happened is because her brother was on the comedy scene with me, and because she worked at the comic strip, our relationship started very secretly, which was also very sexy at the,
hell yeah, it would be.
you know, so those first like 6 weeks was, you know, it was exciting stuff. It was
sneaking around a bit. You're like making eyes at each other,
leaving
across the
open
room.
mics at late, you know, like.
Did you do the thing where someone would leave and then you'd wait for her to leave and then you'd leave?
She lived out of town, so we had this thing going a bit where like I was the nice guy letting her stay at my place type of thing.
Oh,
And,
nice.
Like, she had done that with a few other comics too, where it was like, you know, just so she didn't have to drive back out of town.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just kind of progressed from there. I don't know.
Who asked who out?
It didn't really go like that.
Oh, really?
So like we finally went on a date. I'm older than her by quite a bit too. So she was 18 and I was 29 when I.
Holy shit! Oh my god! I mean, like, granted, that age difference, you know, isn't so bad when you look at the age difference.
Sure, if I was 39 and she was 28, everyone would be
Right.
like, "Congratulations!"
But, yeah, 18's young.
18
but
is
18
young.
is legal.
Hence, all the barely legal porn. It's why there isn't barely 27 porn.
That is a big age difference, though.
It is a big age difference, but it's really crazy because it's never felt like that.
Interesting, yeah.
It's never felt like that. I'm always been very mature. She's always been very mature. I think the fact that her brother did comedy too, she got comedy.
Oh, that would probably have a lot to do with
The
it.
fact she worked at a comedy club, she got comedy.
She's exposed to it more.
That was the biggest thing with women when I was. It's just like no one got comedy.
Right.
So, you know, like it was, especially when you're not making money at it and you're working a day job and you're like, listen, I got to go to this mic. Like I was saying before, on a Tuesday for no money to do 6 minutes and sit in a bar for 3 hours waiting for my turn to go play on the microphone.
Right.
There's supportive, and then at a year, there's always that point where the woman's just like, and to her sanity is just like, what am I fucking doing?
What is this? Where is
What
this
is this?
going?
Where is this going? Do I want to be involved with someone who's so focused on something that's so unattainable? Like, that's the thing. That's the truth with Canadian comedy, and it's a real sad state, is that, like, it's almost impossible to make a living at this. Like, I finally pulled it off, and I know that I'm sure there are comics who, if they were to listen to this right now and they knew how much money I made, they'd be blown away. They'd be like, there's no fucking way this guy does this. And it's because I hustle. I'm not with Yuck Yucks. I'm an independent guy. I call bars. I call places. I bust my butt to fill my schedule.
Yeah.
And you got to be with someone who's prepared to
deal with the unpredictability.
Exactly.
Of that. Yeah, 100%. And like this is why I love the conversation that we're having right now, because when I start the show, I was like, I want to eventually get comedians on because I want to learn more about this world. Because for so long, you know, I kind of just viewed it as, you know, I'm just going to the show, seeing this guy telling jokes, you know. And I didn't realize until I started talking to comedians and being friends with comedians, getting to know comedians, that like it's entrepreneurial. You're literally an entrepreneur. Your business is you. You know what I mean? Like, and you're working on your own schedule. You're your own boss. Like you said, you have to hustle. You have to make those phone calls. You have to have, in a way, it's like you have sales. You have like, it's
1,000%.
It's all these skills that people don't realize until they talk to someone who's done it or know someone who's done it or date someone who's done it.
Do you know how many funnier comics there are out there than me that make less money than I do? It's just you do have to be a business person, because the Yuck Yucks model doesn't work anymore.
Right.
You know, and basically what that means is Yuck Yucks. For those of you listening who don't know, they have this clause where when you're with Yuck Yucks, you're with them, and you can't do any other gigs.
Okay. Yeah.
Now the downfall to Yuck Yucks is that even their top guys probably only make $1,000 a month.
Right.
And I mean, there's probably headliners that do make a few grand a month for bookings and then maybe nothing on the next month.
Right.
Because the way they view it is they've got a finite number of gigs. They've got all the comics that they could possibly want that want these gigs. And so when they sign you, they're basically offering you $600 a month to not work any other thing, which means that to be a comedian in this country, you have to have a day job, which is insane.
Yeah, and that would take a toll on you.
It does, because you're burning the candle at both ends. You're working a day job 8 to 4 or 8 to 5.
And then you're doing a late night show.
And then you're going out at night every single night for the most part. And that's the thing with comedy that people don't understand, is to get good, to get funny, to understand the math of jokes and stuff like that, you have to submerge yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's not going to happen.
100%.
And it wears you down. So like you do hit a point where you're like, I just want to fucking make money at this.
Right.
It has nothing to do with not being passionate about it, not wanting to be artistic or anything like that. Obviously, I still want to do all those things. But I've put enough work and effort and time in that I'm at the point where like I want to make $30,000 a year at this now.
Fuck yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can't do that with yucks.
Right. That
So
makes sense,
I've gone the independent route. There are other comics that do it. And I mean, again, I very much am the exception that's making a living at this, and especially considering that I'm a nobody. I don't do the festivals. I'm not on the radar of a lot of places like Just for Laughs. I've showcased and stuff like that, but like,
right.
Like the gatekeepers know who I am, but it's not like they're like, oh, I've got to book Scott Belford. It's not the way.
Do you want to
works.
get there eventually?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
More money, more bookings, more everything. When you
more
get to
money,
that
less
point.
problems.
Yeah.
More money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does the hustle come from? And when I ask that, I more so mean like, you know, I've had times where I've worked my day job from home and I find it fucking hard not to get distracted or like to stay on track. Like, so productivity wise, how do you motivate yourself? It's a tough question, eh?
I just do it.
Yeah.
I know it's not really a great answer.
It could be like maybe getting into a routine of doing it. To a point where it becomes a routine.
It is a routine. It's one of those things that like it took me years. Here's the thing with comedians that's really ununderstood is that they work so hard to develop an act that is saleable. They work so hard to develop jokes that they can monetize and can make money off of. And then you hit a point where your act is worth something and you should be getting $500 to close a show.
Right.
But now you're like, oh shit, I know nothing about business. And then you have to learn the business end of things and you have to learn the contracts and you have to be able to ask for a deposit up front. You have to have the confidence to be like, yes, if you are going to hire a professional comedian, you should be prepared to act professional and sign a contract and give me $300 up front and have accommodations for me.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's
stand
all,
your ground in a way too.
It's and it is, and it's all standard entertainment stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're striving towards something, especially like comedy, especially in the arts, you are so often encouraged to give it away for free because it's experience.
It's experience and exposure.
Because you are new at it.
Yeah.
And what happens, it's a real trap with artists where you hit a point where you're no longer new at it. It's no longer experience. It's no longer helping you build your brand, your act, your music, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, how do I fucking ask for money now? Because I've never done this before, right?
Right? Oh, I can't imagine. That must be tough. To get to that point.
It is, but it's like I don't lift heavy things. So like, is it tough? I don't know. Like people always say, oh, it's so brave what you do, but is it? No, it's fucking not. I mean,
everyone says it's funny. You're like the third comic to mention that people will say, because I've said it. People have asked me because I have jokes in my phone and shit. People are like, do you ever want to do that? I'm like, and I've said from my mouth, I don't have the guts to.
So I've been on stage. I stopped keeping track, but I'm well over 4,000 times.
Right.
Do anything 4,000 times and then tell me you get worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally just.
And there's way harder things to do 4,000 times, like smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, You start, like, how do you not think constantly you're going to die soon? Like, it's just like you just push it out of your mind. It's the exact same thing with speaking in public. Honestly, I get way more anxious about talking with comedians after the show than I do about fucking going up and doing my spot.
Oh, really?
Oh, way more. 100%.
Interesting.
Not even close. Like,
why is that, do you think?
I have no idea. I'm just a socially awkward dude. Always
I've heard a lot of that too, actually. That there's this weird, like,
one-on-one is way harder.
Stage comfort in a way. Like the safe zone is the stage.
Like, especially first moving here and you hear about the big names in town, So, like, I'd met Dan Hendricken before, but, like, I came here and I was nervous afterwards with him and, like, Travis Lindsay and Andrew Vaughn and, like, all these guys. All these guys that I'm like, I am buds with. I do feel like we're at that point now. I've been on the scene for 6 months. Like, I feel like we can sit down and have a beer and talk about whatever we want. We're comics. That's the thing with comics, right?
Yeah.
We all have that kind of thing in common. But, like, yeah, I was fucking nervous afterwards. It's why I make a good fifth impression. It's why small scenes work for me. And honestly, in a year, I know that I will be well thought of on this scene by everybody.
Right.
Like, it's just, I'll be around. It's a small scene. You're going to see me. You're going to realize that I'm a nice enough guy. I'm a little awkward at times, but it's mostly probably because I'm either stoned and in my own head or I'm just sober and in my own head. So,
I didn't find you awkward at all when I met you.
Well, thank you. I'm faking it really well. Honestly, that's how I feel, and I faked it well then.
Fake it till you make it is a subject that comes up on the show a lot. A lot of people live by that.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it mentality, which I didn't used to agree with so much, but that's just because I'm a bad liar. An actor.
I think that saying depends on what you're doing.
Depends on what it is. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, maybe in like work situations, that's better. Maybe. I don't know. Do you remember the first time you ever like really truly bombed? Like you must have bombed.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? Like everyone bombs. Do you remember what that was like?
The first one? No. I remember the last one. Like,
oh really?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. So much of it has to do with the fucking people in the room. Like...
It does. It depends on what you're doing, too, what you're going for. Like, there's lots of times... I really do believe for most comics, when you start to get really good is when you hit a point where you're totally prepared to bomb.
Yeah, I love that.
Where you have 5 new minutes and you're just going to go up and do those 5 new minutes. And if you eat shit, you eat shit.
I love it when people look like they're having fun bombing.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite thing.
Because they're faking it. And that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Nobody enjoys bombing, right?
That's true.
Nobody enjoys bombing.
I like it when people make jokes about bombing, though. Like, they'll say something like, well, this is not going good. Or like...
Which I try really hard not to do.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. There's a self-awareness to it that is endearing, and it's why it gets a laugh.
Yeah.
It is a cheat. It is... It's the I give up button. The this is easy button, where it's just like it's a get out of jail free card.
Right.
That when you're trying to develop material, I think is not the way to go about it. And I mean every comic has listen, when it comes to shit like that, and some comics will use the term hacky, right? Which means I really believe hacky means in most ways the easy way out.
Yeah.
It means a premise that has been used a lot, and then you're not putting any creativity into. You're just doing it. It's like naming the town next to the town you're in and shitting on it.
Yeah.
And you're getting a laugh. Do it. Like, absolutely
right.
do it. It's a cheat. It's just recognize it's a cheat.
Be aware about it.
Be aware of the fact that it is the easy way out.
Right.
So I don't
be aware and do better next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually that's actually a really good point, because if you don't acknowledge it, you just push through. Just okay, that joke didn't land well, so on to the next.
Some of the biggest progressions I've ever seen in comedians, and some of them were with comics that I looked up to and were better than me at the time, was they hit a point. Like, there's one guy in particular. I'll name his name. He knows this. His name's Sterling Scott. He's out of Edmonton. Killer comic. He's been on Kevin Laughs LOL. He's done Just for Laughs. He's done all the big festivals. He's a killer. I love the dude. We've toured together lots. And we had he asked me straight up one night, we were drunk, and he was just like, if there was one piece of advice, what could you give me? And I literally told you basically what I just told you is just like, you are too fucking afraid to bomb.
Right.
You know, like you kill everywhere, and it's because you know what works. You know how to work a crowd.
Yeah.
You know the jokes that you're going to do well with, but I've never seen you really put yourself out there for 5 new minutes and just allow yourself to fail.
Right.
Because that's the only way you get good at comedy is by failing. It's the shittiest thing about this art is that there is no way to find out what's funny without putting it out there and seeing if it works.
Yeah, throw it at the wall.
And even if you are a killer comic and you are at the point where, and I really believe you hit a point 10 to 15 years in where 25 to 50% of the stuff you're going to think of is probably going to get a laugh on stage because you're just at the point where your own filter in your brain knows, okay, I can present it this way and I can get a laugh.
Yeah.
I can do this way and I can get the crowd to do this.
Right.
But you're still going to fail. Like, that's the thing. You're still going to have that 75% of the time where it's like, you were wrong. It's not as funny as you thought. Or you have to take it this way or you have to take it that way. Or you just fucking...
That's, I think, part of the cool thing about...
I feel like we're talking too much comedy.
I love this. It is a comedy podcast. We're in the comedy category. So, but I think that's I'm an observer of comedy. So
my biggest worry right now is that fucking Travis Lindsay's listening to this and he's like, oh
Travis?
God, will they just shut the fuck up about comedy?
No, Travis loves talking about comedy.
I know he loves talk. Every comic loves talking comedy. Every comic hates hearing it dissected.
They like talking about it, but maybe not hearing it.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But for me as an observer, it's cool for me to see when jokes are improved upon. Because there are nights where I'll see the same person, very close together, recently, and it's really cool for me to see who actually worked on it or added to it or took away from who made it better. And even though I'm hearing the joke for maybe the 3rd or 4th time, and it's not always gonna make me ha 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 laugh really loud. And I try to laugh loud at comedy shows, by the way. That's my thing. I'm I want them to hear me.
I want the support out there.
But it's really cool to see. And I it's part of what I love about it is I'm just these people are really walking away from each show and working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And good for them. You know, bomb. Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking A. What was I gonna ask? So you are now in Halifax.
Yeah.
And you've lived here for 6 months.
6 months. I'm loving.
What do you think? What do you think of Halifax? In general.
Okay.
Here we go.
No. I love the culture of. I really do love that there's a love amongst the people for right here.
Right.
Maritimers are proud to be from the Maritimes.
It's so true.
And I do
We're
like
so
that.
Nice.
There's a drinking culture. There's a drinking culture across the country, but it's got its own East Coast flavor.
Yes.
I've never been in a city where a lone pedestrian walking down a fucking street can screw up traffic so badly. I blame the students. I've never seen a group of people just wander into oncoming traffic like the kids in this fucking city. You drive by Dalhousie, my God, it is traffic chaos for no other reason than fucking long-haired dudes with backpacks who at any moment with their headphones on will just literally jet into the middle of a fucking road.
I work there and I totally know what you mean. It's yeah, they're gonna stop for me. Yeah, I own this place. I can walk out on the street. They gonna stop for me. Yeah, I get it. And me as the hyper scared of getting hit by a car person, I will look both ways. I will go to a crosswalk. I will go to lights. I
love that you even spun that. It's a weird thing to be afraid of a 2-ton fucking iron piece of metal on wheels. Any sane person. And this is I've only seen this on the East Coast. Only fucking Toronto. Try walking out into the middle of the street whenever you want. Good fucking luck. Montreal, they will just hit you and it's your fucking fault.
I'm from Antigonish, where it's a small town, and it's jaywalking is just a part of the culture there.
Yeah.
Like it's just like everyone jaywalks because everyone slows down for everybody. But that's Antigonish. That's a small fucking town. It's not Halifax. It's certainly not Toronto. Holy fuck. Toronto's madness.
Yeah.
It's madness there. Did you ever live in Toronto?
Yeah, I was there for the last 5 years before I moved here.
So what's better, Toronto or Halifax?
It depends what you're after.
Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck where I live. I kind of have a good time wherever I'm at.
You're a nomad. You mentioned that before. That
I am.
You're a traveling soul.
I just enjoy
moving around.
I just enjoy meeting new people and talking to the locals. It's my favorite thing to do. It's why I love traveling. Like my girl and I, we went to Namibia, Africa last year.
Shut
and
up.
It's a fairly unpopulated area, a lot of parkland and stuff, so a lot of like safari stuff. And so we rented a vehicle and just drove around. And my favorite part was literally just English was their number one language. So like you could talk to all the locals. And it was just so fun to go into these fucking little bars and like sit down and have a beer with locals. And like they were blown away because there aren't a lot of white tourists that go and do that, right?
Oh my God.
So my love of drinking, I can take that anywhere.
That's amazing.
And I scored weed
in Africa.
So fucking mark that. Scott
Holy
Belford.
Shit, how'd you
he
do
can
that?
score weed. I just
asked.
asked.
I you know what? Okay. I'm going to say it because it was a long time ago. But I went to Mexico with girlfriends and I was terrified because I heard that they're really strict in Mexico about that. We went to this place called Playa del Carmen, which is near Cancun, like little city. And like my friend Carrie, like found it like almost instantly.
Yeah.
Like it was just, we went into a shop that sold pipes and I think she like looked at the guy and the guy looked at her and like did a little nod and before
next
we
thing
knew
you
it,
know,
it was so easy. It was insane. I was terrified, but the weed wasn't that good. So
No. Are you a weed smoker?
Yes, I sure am.
Nice.
Yes. Not like I'm not crazy into it.
No.
I'll do it. See, here's my
So
thing.
what? 4 times a month? Once a week?
Once a week at least.
Yeah.
I would say. But I do it more for. I'm a huge extrovert, and people energize me, and people also burn me out.
Yeah.
So I actually do it more to like settle down or like go to sleep.
Yeah.
Or if I'm like editing, or if I really want to focus on something,
Right.
I'll take a certain strand.
Yeah.
When I get high with people, I find I'm a piece of garbage. Like I just cannot. I actually recorded with Andrew and Travis on the Boys Club and had an edible. Bad decision because I do not remember how good I was on that episode because I tend to like. What I'll do is I'll just like be on something and then I'll just be like, oh, I just totally forgot what I was saying. Or like, and I get way too quiet.
Yeah.
So I find we did one high episode of the podcast where we called it Intoxicated. And it was like after weed became legal. I told myself I would wait. It was like, I'm going to wait until it becomes legal to do a fully high episode.
Yeah.
And like, it turned out fine. But in the moment, I was like, I'm not talking enough. I'm not energetic. I just get too in my head with weed.
Yeah.
I find like I'm a better talker when I'm drinking. But I do love it to put me to sleep.
Do you mind if I grab?
Oh, go nuts.
Yeah, go do it.
I actually don't mind this moose heads.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty dandy. But what about yourself? Are you into the marijuana?
Oh, I'm a huge pothead.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And I can kind of tell, are you an extrovert?
No.
No, you don't think so?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've been talking about this a lot with people
Here's
lately.
the thing. I'm an extrovert if I know everybody.
Okay, fair.
So, again, with the good with the fifth impression, you know, like
I love that so much.
I really am, you know, like I'm very extroverted once I know everybody, you know, like
so it takes you some time.
Yeah.
Fair. So I would say if that's the case, you probably lean more towards like the introvert. So,
but I don't know if I'm not introverted though.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I don't know if there's a middle of the road, but if there is, that's kind of where I'm at. You know.
Oh, well, that's a good place to be, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's ups and downs to it, right?
Yeah. Are you a social smoker or do you do it more like?
I mean, I like socially smoking.
Yeah.
But
it's fun.
But I mean. Am I not going to get high by myself on a Friday in a hotel room after a show? Fuck yeah, I am.
That's where I'm like, because people often will joke about like drinking alone.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather smoke alone.
Yeah.
Because I find when I drink, I'm more of a fun drunk.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste the fun on just me.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So for me, smoking is more of a private thing than it is social.
It's drinking by yourself is weird.
It is weird.
And I'm not going to say I won't do it. I absolutely will have beers by myself. Especially if because I'm a fucking baseball fanatic. I think I touched on that earlier. I just love baseball so much. And baseball's an amazing game to sit around and drink a few beers by yourself while you watch it, right?
Man.
But it is one of those things that, like, for me anyways, it is more of a social thing to do, right? Yeah. Like, it's something you want to do with friends when you're sitting around a bar, or like having conversation in a place like this, even like just sitting in your living room, like, I not that I wouldn't come fucking hang out without beers, but I'm just saying.
Well, next time you see me at a bar now, you can just join the table.
Yeah, that's right. You're like,
just fucking join me. I also do think because you're paying for it, like you're paying more to drink. So why would you do? I used to feel this way about movies too.
Yeah.
I was anti going to movies alone.
Really?
And this, like 2018, this past year, I did it for the first time in my entire life.
Wow. In your 30s, it took you to.
I went to the movies by myself.
Isn't it the best?
I had so much fun.
It's the best.
I actually, I'll do it again.
I love getting high and going to a movie by myself. And it's funny because it's not something that I would seek out to do normally, but like when you're on the road, it's a great way to kill an afternoon, especially when you're in a town you don't know anybody. You're just waiting for the show. It's like 3 PM and you're sitting in the hotel room. Yeah, absolutely. It's the best. I do it all the time.
Oh man, I think I don't know what my hang up about it was before. Maybe I thought people were gonna judge me or something, or like be like, she got stood up, or she's alone. I don't know. I mean, like, I've been alone for 7 years. I'm kind of now moving into acceptance.
Is that just out of curiosity? Is that you find because you're happy being single? Like, is that something?
No.
So is it like?
I think it's the opposite. I think people. Ooh, we're getting deep.
Sorry.
Hour 14. This is good. No, this is good.
Apologies.
No.
This is when I'm like, this is when I bring up, what's wrong with you, Sarah?
I think that, I think it's a combination of things. I think I don't make enough of an effort to meet new people because I'm in my 30s now. My friends don't like going out.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at online dating because I just don't catch vibes well.
That's one
text.
thing I can't even imagine doing. It would be so hard.
It's really, really hard. Like, I'm someone like I met you once.
Yeah.
And I'm able to have a rapport with you, but I've met you once.
Yeah.
Like meeting someone on just literally over text. It's just so weird to me. It's very bizarre. And I don't feel like I translate really well over text because there's so many things that go into that tone and all this. I mean, like, so there's that, and there's like meeting new people, and I tend to go after unavailable people. I've gotten into like messy situations where it's just like multiple guys that are like really no good, like never gonna date me.
Right.
But then they take up all my energy so that I'm not focusing my energy on meeting a new person.
Right.
And now I have the podcast, which is a lot of my time outside of work.
Yeah.
So it's like a combination of things. But then the other thing is like I think because I'm very honest about it and saying like I've been alone for 7 years, like this is what it is, guys. I'm fucking lonely. I would like a partner. I'm not gonna play this fake warrior like oh, I don't need no man. Well, I certainly don't need a man, but I sure want one.
Yeah.
I know I don't need one.
Yeah.
Because I've done fine without one. But like I would like one. And
right.
I feel like
I get where you're coming from. It's like one of those scenarios where
double-edged sword kind of.
Yeah, where you're like, oh no, am I coming across as
too
like
desperate or thirst? Like people use the word thirsty with me. They think I'm thirsty.
This is where when I was talking about that first 3 years of dating my girl, like it's so funny how hard it is. Because now that I'm with her, it's just like, it's so ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
And I see other relationships and I'm like, well, why don't you just fucking be completely honest and do whatever you want?
Yeah.
But like, I forget too that that's like a really hard place to get
to.
Just total acceptance on both people's part where they're like, I'm making my relationship sound so great. Believe me, there are bumps in the road, obviously, as well. But like, you know, like, but it is. Once you hit a point where you're just like, you both get each other to such an extent.
Yeah.
And there's just like no surprises anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a huge thing to be said for that, where you can just kind of like go with the ebb and flow.
And that's how I picture myself meeting someone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see myself meeting someone via online. I'm very self-aware. I'm extremely independent now because I've been alone for 7 years.
Like I'm extremely independent because I fucking have to be. This Billy bookcase was built by me.
Amen. Independent, not by choice. Would love to be codependent for a little bit. Would just love to have that experience of being totally
Somebody make me reliant.
But I think the thing is like, I have been in situations where I have been codependent on guys who do not give a shit about me back.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird, like, I'm now just starting to be like.
Do you think Andrew Vaughn will say we have a good chemistry together? I saw his comment with you and Kirsten, and I was like, oh dear God, I hope he thinks we're good together.
I hope so. I think he's gonna love.
We're gonna find out if Andrew Vaughn listens to an hour 20 minutes into this podcast. We're gonna find.
I can almost guarantee you he's
You're
still
like,
listening.
That guy is definitely going to.
Andrew, we love you.
Yeah.
We love you, Andrew. Me and Andrew often text about being sad all the time together.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is. I just feel like I've learned a lot from being single, and I feel like whoever comes into my life, it might take some work to get in there, but maybe once they're in there, it will be like you said, a little more natural and easy because I have things myself figured out a little bit.
What's fucked is I look back on how many times we could have just broken up, my girl and I.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And it's so many.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
Like what kind of challenges?
Honestly, again, it really was when we moved together to Toronto, and pretty much after that, it was fine.
Right.
But like the first 2 years in Edmonton of just like, she was very young too, which, you know, like.
It does matter.
It does. 11 years, especially 18 to 29 is a big enough difference that it does. You know, she's still fucking figuring life. Well, not that I wasn't still figuring life out. We're all still figuring life out. I didn't mean.
We're always kind of doing it, but in the 20s is the coming of age.
Well, I think the biggest time anyone grows is 18 to 25. That 7 years is fucking ridiculous. How big
100%.
Of a personal growth that is in most people. Yeah. Like just for how different you are from 18 to 25, right? Like,
very, very, very.
The way you view the world, the way you view people.
25 is a coming into yourself age. Like I truly feel that. And that's like, I think my age, the lowest I'll go on Tinder is 25, because I'm like, I don't think you're a fully formed human until you're 25.
Right.
I just don't think that. I think you still matter, you're still valid, you're still going through shit, but you're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I think at 25, you kind of have things a little
Tinder,
more.
I can't even imagine. Like, that's another thing is terrible. Like, fuck, if my girl and I were ever to fucking call her a day, like, holy fuck.
Have you ever been on it? I guess you never.
Never.
You're so lucky.
You know what's crazy? I signed up for Plenty of Fish, went on it one time.
Right.
That's it. That's my, and I didn't get a date off of it. I did nothing. Literally,
that's a wild place to be.
We're talking about how long ago it was now. Like, I was on it when it was a thing, right? Like,
yeah,
I know it's still probably
still
a thing,
but it's not one of the more popular ones. I would say the more popular ones are Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge.
Yes, I've heard of two of the three of those.
But I recently deleted all of them.
Okay.
So they're gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to not try, because that's what people keep telling me. Stop trying and it will come into your life.
But you know what's fucked about that advice?
It's 100% fucked. Tell me why, though.
Because it is ridiculously true, but it is 100% impossible when you're trying.
Yeah, I'm trying to not try.
Like it's impossible. You literally have to hit up. Like, this is with guys, it's huge, because dudes, when you're like in that 18 to 25 year old range, like, you just have like a raging fucking boner the whole time, right?
Yep.
So there's no such thing as appearing like you're not trying, right? Like, because you're constantly trying.
Yeah.
You fucking,
because you kind of have to.
You're just being led around by your fucking heart on, right?
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
like really when I figured out what not trying meant is once I got a girlfriend. And then I started realizing all of a sudden, like, women would start, like, hitting on me and stuff.
Because you're not available.
Exactly.
Because
you're just
we can't have.
But, like, without even knowing that I have a girlfriend, but just, like, because I had a girlfriend, I just had that confidence of, like, I'm not interested. I'm good.
You're just going to be you. And
I'm just me.
Yeah, you're just gonna
I'm
be
good.
having,
I'm not after you.
Right.
We can just be two acquaintances having a good time in this moment.
Because it's less pressure.
And so that is attractive to people, right?
Right.
But it's almost impossible to have that mentality when you are after love, when you are after a fucking partner, when you are trying to get laid, when you are any of those things.
It's just really...
I'm not giving advice, by the way. I'm just talking about, like...
No, I 100% agree. And
I'm making observations, not advice.
It's a constant struggle for me because I don't want to come off like I'm trying, but I really, really am.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say that, I just mean, like, you know, I'm looking for connections. I'm trying to figure out, like, who am I attracted to and why am I attracted to them? And, like, I really got to stop being attracted to guys with girlfriends. Yeah. So I'm really trying to, like, look at the single people in my circle being like, what are you like?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm trying my best. But the way I figure it, I'm like, it's kind of like a lot of things where, like, thinking about being a mom or something.
Right.
I'm not falling in love with the idea of having kids because it's something that might not fucking happen.
Yeah.
Like, yes, people are gonna say back to me, you never know, and you know, like, you still have time, and like they'll say these cliched things at me, and I'm like, yeah, I understand, but I'm not gonna fall in love with that life because that life requires a partner or it requires a bunch of money. Both those things are not feasible for me right now. So I'm not going to fall in love with the idea of having kids. I'm going to focus on what I can control. I can control this podcast. I can control my career. So I'm going to put energy into that rather than these other things.
Do you think Kirsten's episodes was better? It was funny,
Stop!
right?
Don't get in your head!
You guys had such a good time. So far, we've pretty much covered. We're all gonna die. The planet's ending.
Well, do you want kids?
No.
Do you want kids?
No, my girl and I have decided we're not.
No
having
kids. Oh, so
but that being said, I can have kids whenever. She's 25 right now.
Yeah.
26. She just turned 26. So like, literally, if she in let's say 12 years comes to me and is like, Scott, turns out I do want kids. As a 50-year-old man, I'll be like, sure, let's see if this old nutsack can still fucking get something. You know? Like, why not? I'm not against kids. Right. I just, right now, I'm just like, meh, do I want kids? Not really.
Could you is it kind of like a take it or leave it? Like, if it happens, cool, but if not,
if she got pregnant, would we fucking kill the baby? No. You know? Is it her?
I was trying to ask that.
Is it her right to do so? Absolutely. Fucking kill a baby. But I just
it's like an old trip to the Abobo clinic together. Make a day out of it. Get some brunch.
I don't know. I just smoke so much weed. I'm like,
maybe they're just swimming in circles.
My boys are probably.
I always wonder that guys who do drugs. Yeah. I'm like, what's their sperm like? I wanna see it under a microscope. I dated someone who loved cocaine, and I can only imagine those sperms were like running every which way.
My brother would hate that I tell you this, but little known fact about my youngest brother, he has sperm 4 times more potent than most male sperm. The doctor said to him, have you ever got a girl pregnant? Because he's like, I've only seen 2 sperm in my entire 14 doctor year career more potent than yours. And my brother was like, no, I haven't. But like, that's insane.
Hang on a sec. So he has like super sperm.
Super sperm.
Whoa.
Low testosterone though. Again, I don't know why I'm telling you all my brother's fucking.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Super sperm.
Oh yeah.
My God.
You should see my brothers. They're single. You like my brothers.
Where is he? Is he living in Halifax?
No, they're Alberta boys, unfortunately.
That's
Too bad,
far.
Sarah.
That's far.
They're both 6'6", though. Fucking 6'6". They're fucking... My brothers have been the fucking bane of my existence. I love them to death, but they're both like fucking... You know, like I'm just like big-nosed and like nerdy and skinny, and like they're the same, but they're like... But they're beefier, you know? Like they got, you know? I'm just like,
are they
oh
ladies?
man.
Ladies, like do the ladies like them?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're oblivious to it.
Ugh. You
like-
men gotta get your shit together,
Like
let me tell you.
they do fine with women, but like the women they do fine with are the girls that are like, you're with me. You know?
Right.
You know, like
well,
my,
I'm available, so if you know anyone.
like my brother who is closest to me in age, Brett, and I like we're so tight. Like we're just like, and we're very different, but he's just like, but he's 6'6" and he works out every day. Like, cause he used to be a big drinker and a big pot smoker, but he quit both. So like working out has kind of been his thing now. And like, but he's also still got that very like, stoner like vibe to him,
right?
And so he does very well with women, but he's one of those guys that like he literally needs them to make all of the moves, like 100%. And he won't be if a girl is being subtle at all, too bad. And the amount of women that I have been around who have been like, so what, your brother just fucking, is he gay? And I'm like, no, like you don't understand. He doesn't think you're hitting on him.
I'm going to be really, really, really honest here. As a single girl of 7 years,
yeah,
I get a lot of, like I'll get Instagram DMs
Yeah.
hitting on me. Tinder's different because that's, you're on that platform to be hit on. But more times often than not, it's that way. It's I'm really putting out signals and they are not being picked up and this guy is not making a move.
Yeah.
And listen, I know I have friends listening that are going to be like, well, that's fine. Why not? But really, that is the case. And it's hard.
You know what it is? And I truly believe this. All of us still have a little bit of 15-year-old high school
100%.
Scott or Sarah or
God,
whoever it is. And so often you wind up resorting to that baseline, and that's what my brother does all the time, which is just like
wait for them to make a move or
just think nobody's interested, which is ridiculous because if you saw my brother, you would literally be like, okay, well, there's no way he thinks that.
I have embraced having crushes right now.
Yeah.
At 31,
good.
I have embraced it. And the way that I see it is like there's a bunch of people that I think are interesting people that I like. And I'm like, I'm just going to go about my life and see what happens with this. But it does, that schoolyard or like school mentality of like being nervous to like tell someone you like them. I definitely feel that.
Yes.
I can play it out in my head of like, I'm going to tell him I like him. But then I am just like, no, I'm going to try and feel it out some more. And then, 2 years goes by. So. Oh, I have another thing to bring up, actually.
Okay.
We talked about it before this. We mentioned fast food.
Yes.
And eating on the road and how you manage
to eat like a complete loser. Yes.
Do you like fast food or is it something that you just do for convenience? I had McDonald's today after a week of eating salads and it felt so fucking good.
You know what?
Felt so good.
I do like fast food. Oh, I don't like McDonald's. It's never been.
What?
McDonald's, I don't know why. And everyone says this, like, especially when they find out, like, that I'm a fast food junkie. Because, like, McDonald's is never anything I crave. It's not something that I'm into. Catherine Robertson would fucking lose her mind on me right now.
Oh, sweet. Catherine likes McDonald's too?
Yes, she does.
I'm going to get us some McNuggets for
Who
Friday
is the
night,
next
girl.
guest on Intoxicated Podcast.
It's comedy week here. I'm just knocking them out.
I worked at Burger King when I was 16. I love Burger King. And I don't know if it just makes me think of that. Fair enough.
Maybe.
A&W, love A&W. I love Dairy Queen.
Oh, Dairy Queen. Chicken strip basket for life.
Thing. I am a burger nut.
Okay.
It's my favorite food. I have tried to say other things are my favorite food, but then I always eat burgers the most. So what am I talking about? And even a bad burger, like that's the thing, right? I don't like McDonald's, but I would eat a McDonald's cheeseburger right fucking now. I would love it. If you pulled a old one out of the fridge and we're like, Scott, I would microwave this. You're like, there's one in my garbage right now.
There's one, like, there's a little bit. I got a quarter pounder.
I'm not eating it out of the garbage. If this is where this is going, you're like, how much do you like burgers, really?
Fucking raccoon or something. Just take it out. No, I had a quarter pounder earlier tonight.
Nice.
It was delightful.
Awesome.
Last week I ate salad and bland chicken all week in attempts to get healthier, and I realized my body needs some trash, so I'm gonna have some trash
There you
tonight. But do you know you love burgers? Do you know about Halifax Burger Week?
In March, it's actually in my calendar.
You do know about Halifax Burger. Was this something you learned about upon moving here?
So, my cousin used to live here.
Okay.
And when I first came here last year in March, I moved here in July, but March is when I was touring out here. And I stayed with her, and it was during Burger Week, and it was on her calendar. And I was just like, you have Burger Week on your calendar? She's like, who doesn't like burgers? I'm like, cuz this is why we're related. So as soon as we got here, I looked it up and I put it in my calendar.
That's
Burger
so
Week.
funny.
Yeah.
Halifax goes bonkers for Burger Week. I only just kind of like burgers. I'm not like you. I don't hate them.
Yeah.
But I'm not crazy. If there was a hot dog week in Halifax, that's when
Weird, but okay, yeah.
that's what I could get down with. I love me.
You're like, I like
a
tubular meat, thank you.
I like the most phallic thing in the popsicle.
Can I have a phallic meat?
But the toppings on it, you could do a lot of fun stuff with a hot dog week.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Halifax, get fucking on it. But Burger Week is actually, it's madness.
Hot Dog Week sounds more like something like St. John, New Brunswick would do.
I'll go to St. John. I don't think I've ever been to St. John, New Brunswick.
No?
I don't think so.
New Brunswick. It's the Manitoba of the Maritimes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Manitoba and New Brunswick have a lot in common, right? They're both there on the map.
They're just there.
Nobody's really overly excited about it.
Yeah. You've seen
the weather gods many times try to tell the people they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's very true. That's so. You've seen a lot of Canada. What are some of your favorite cities or places to go in Canada?
Well, we are at the tail end of this thing, and if anyone's still listening and cares,
then they deserve to hear.
Then they deserve to hear this. But
they're the troopers of the episodes.
Without a doubt, Whitehorse, Yukon. If you are a fan of Canada, you have to see this place.
Oh,
It is
really?
incredible. It is one of my favorite places on the planet.
Wow.
It is an anomaly out there. It's about 35,000 people. They're a 22-hour drive from Edmonton, which is the next closest hub, basically.
Right.
They're like a 10-hour drive from Fort Nelson, BC, which is a city or a town of 9,000 people, right? There's nothing. You got to go a long ways to get anywhere. So what it has created is it's created this incredible community of do-it-yourselfers.
Oh, man.
Because if you're going to do something there, you do it or you don't.
Right.
So there
should have
is
get off the pot.
Incredible music scene. There's comedy that goes on there. There's an improv scene. There's all these people that craft brew and distilleries, and it really is this community of people that
making
are
shit happen.
So isolated, but make it happen. It's just a really, really cool culture and feeling when you're there, and it is gorgeous. It's Banff but no tourists. It's
interesting.
It's the middle of the Rocky Mountains, tourists.
And were you ever there when it was totally dark?
Was there January?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't remember. I don't know the dark season.
It was light from 11. It might have been 10:30 a.m. till about 3:30. So it was light for about 4 or 5 hours.
That is wild.
I was there July 2nd, which means that I walked out of the bar at 11 p.m. and we went golfing. There was the 9-hole golf guy, the 9-hole golf course owner was literally at the show and was like, hey, do you guys want to go golfing? So we were out on the golf course. It was 1 a.m. And I'm not saying the sun was in the air still. It was dusky, but it never got dark. It was just light the whole time. It was fucking incredible.
That's
honestly,
madness.
Whitehorse is the best.
Whitehorse, interesting.
Saskatoon, an incredibly cool city that nobody gives any love to or any credit to. Saskatchewan, I love Saskatoon.
Oh, really?
And I always fucking mess with my maritime buddies because everyone just can't wait to talk about the ocean. I remember we were out at Peggy's Cove. My buddy, we're just sitting on the rock and we're just smoking a joint and we're looking out and he's like, man, look at the ocean. And I was like, yeah, just fucking the water prairies, eh, bud? you just like a big sky. You just would love Saskatchewan.
What it is. It's water prairies.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Saskatoon and Whitehorse.
No, Saskatoon and Whitehorse.
Very interesting.
And I mean, there's so many places in Canada that are incredible that I really love. Northern Manitoba is something that no one ever talks about. It's beautiful up there. It's really weird and different. Quebec is incredible and fucked.
I was just going to say.
drive. Like, Quebec is fucked because it's just so different. Quebec is weird because they don't even appreciate what makes them so special, which is that they are so multilingual and multicultural.
Right.
So, like, they're so worried about losing their culture, but I feel like they're so worried about losing their culture, they're looking... It's like you can't see the trees through the forest, right? And it's totally that, because what makes Montreal so magical, what makes Quebec so magical is that everyone there speaks good English and bad French, or bad English and good French. Everybody, and it's amazing,
right?
And it's its own thing, and it's its own animal. And I really get frustrated sometimes with how much the rest of the country shits on Quebec. Like, I'm an Albertan, right? So one of the Albertans are all up in arms right now. Albertans are talking about separating. They'll never be able to do it just because economically it's the stupidest thing they could do.
Yeah.
But they would, if the Albertans were listening, they would fucking flip out hearing that. It's just a short-sighted solution to a problem with pipelines that we don't have to get in. We don't have to get into it. It's a big...
That's your second episode. We'll get into that.
Yeah, sure. It's a big, long thing. But because of the equalization payments, which is basically have-not provinces give or get from have provinces. And Alberta has always been a have province. So a lot of money gets shipped from the natural resource industry in Alberta, and it gets sent to Quebec. And they view this as unfair. However, what they don't understand a lot of times is that it has nothing to do with their taxes. It has nothing to do with anything like this. The people themselves wouldn't see this fucking money. It's just the way a country works.
Exactly,
yeah. Of course, we're a country. We're Canada. We're not like every province is out for themselves. We're fucking all in this together. And it kind of pisses me off when people view it other than that.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Alberta gets all upset about these equalization payments and stuff, and they think Quebec has it so much better. But a lot of these people have never been anywhere other than where they're from.
Where they are, yeah.
And it's just like, go to Quebec. You think Quebec has it so much better than you? They don't. Everyone fucking has it the same. Like, I as someone who has toured this country so much, it's the one thing I can fucking really get out there and say is that we are all the same.
Right.
Like, if you truly believe that a conservative voter is out to get you and feels differently just because you vote liberal, or vice versa, or you're, or you feel slighted because one area of the country thinks differently, like, go travel the country. You're gonna find everyone just wants a job and just wants to make a living.
Yeah, get by.
Just wants to, it's all the same.
That's very true. Fuck.
Anyways, I think that might be a good way to end this. On kind of somewhat of a high point. After we're all like, this whole hour and a half, we're like, we're gonna die.
I have a good way to end it. One last question to you.
Please.
Because you've done this a lot. You are now making a living. You are solely doing comedy. This is such a BuzzFeed question, but what kind of advice would you give any people looking to get into it? If you could give, I think we kind of gave a bunch of advice already.
You know what?
But
I don't like giving advice, but if I was to give advice on just getting into comedy, if you want to, do it.
Just do it.
It sounds so lame and
No. A lot of people say that.
But I mean, that advice goes for anything you want to do in life. We're all going to be living in gas masks in 30 years. The planet is ending, people. Do what you want to do. Like, live your life.
We are all going to die. Nothing matters. Just do it. Yeah, no, I totally agree, because I've always been somebody who has so many ideas and has never made anything happen. Other than this podcast, this was one thing that I did, though. And I continue to and doing it every week.
It's incredible. You have microphones on your coffee table. You've done this. You've got a fucking equalizer here.
Yeah.
I love it, Sarah. You're killing it. You're doing it.
You're killing it. And you talk about a good fifth impression. I think you made a good second impression.
Nailing
me.
it. Oh man,
That
look at
could be
me expediting my
That could be the title of the
value.
episode. A second impression with Scott Belford. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey,
man.
thanks so much for having me.
What do you have coming up? Do you have any shows coming up here in Halifax? anytime soon?
Not in Halifax. I'm actually in St. John, New Brunswick at the Chuckles there at the end of the month with literally the funniest comedian in all of Canada, Sean Lecomber. So I'm going to give my buddy a plug there. But if you've never heard of Sean, spelled Sean, S-E-A-N, Lecomber, check it out because he's fucking killer.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at Yuck Yucks Halifax here January 31, Feb 2nd.
Yuck Yucks? Okay, perfect.
Come check it out.
I can link to the Yuck Yuck show.
Please do.
And if you have a ticket link to the other show, I can link to that as well.
Okay.
Because this is going to come out on Friday.
Amazing.
So this will come out in good time for people to...
I'm terrible on social media, but I'll even hit the share button.
No, you're not. You share your shows. That's what matters, right?
I don't do a very good job, but I thank you that you even would say that.
No, I mean, I think that's part of why I like having comics on, because, you know, it exposes them to hopefully some people that will get out to their shows.
Absolutely.
And everybody, check out a fucking Mega Comedy Mondays, Gus's Pub, Monday nights. It's fucking great. There's so much comedy in Halifax, and I
let's, you know what?
Fucking get in on
Fuck it. We've talked so long. If people are still listening, Barely's on Wednesday night with Catherine Robinson is incredible. 8:00 every single Wednesday. Rick McGray runs the High Life show. It's the Pot Lounge here in Halifax. If you don't know there's a Pot Lounge, there is a Pot Lounge.
I've never been, and I really want to go.
Spring Garden Road. Yeah. It's incredible. Look it up.
Check it up. Yeah.
It's very, very cool. It's 40 stoners sitting in a room smoking joints, listening to comedy. If you're into that sort of thing, do it.
Yeah.
And
Yuck Yucks every weekend.
Yuck Yucks every weekend. We don't need to plug Yuck Yucks.
And Sniggly Wigglies on Sundays.
And Sniggly's on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, hosted by Dan, who's also coming on the show.
There you go.
So this is I know you've been here 6 months, but I welcome you to Halifax.
I look forward to when we do a third or fourth podcast together in 1 year from today.
100%. And I do want to let you know, and remind the people listening, that I'm doing a 15-hour live stream in honor of episode 100.
Beauty.
So that's going to go it's Saturday, February 16th. From noon until 3 a.m. And I will be booking comedians for that.
Amazing.
To come in and sit down for like an hour, shoot the shit, have some drinks.
Awesome.
It's a 15-hour party, so it's an open invite.
Will you have phone calls?
I could probably arrange to figure that out.
No big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm in Kentville. I'm in Kentville that weekend. I'm doing K-Town comedy 14, 15, 16.
But you could potentially call in. I'm going to try to set it up because Andrew Vaughn's going to be away too.
Amazing.
So I'm going to set up
he's doing his absolute run.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll be in Ontario, unfortunately. So timing wise.
Big shot.
That's it. Thanks so much, Scott.
Hey, thanks for having me,
This was
Sarah.
a shit ton of fun.
Fuck yeah.
And good luck with everything. And you get a bell ring as the guest. Ring that bell.
Oh, one more thing. Can I say one more lame thing?
Yes.
Smoke weed every day.
Smoke weed every day. You know, I can't put copyright music in it, but I really want to.
She said not to do this.
This is the end of the episode.
She literally said, do not ring the bell constantly.